Let's go, family. It's your boy Joe Boss in the building.
It's a celebration. We just won the championship. Congratulations. We worked hard, believed in the dream with dedication. We locked arms, put time in the gym. Cooperation. About to spin the block one more time. It's celebration. This is celebration. This is celebration. This is celebration. Raise a glass to the air. Let's celebrate the victories. We have conquered despair and laid down the enemies. We've been grinding on our feet. We've been praying on our knees. We got cuts across our hands, but we still lift and feel the breeze. Got my graduation cap, little bit of swag across the top. When I walk across that stage, little bit of swag up in my walk. Put respect across my name. Or watch your mouth when you talk. And my price is just went up. Money rising like the stock. I got faith, I got joy, and I got love, and I got peace. I got grind up in my heart. Sacrificed a lot of sleep. Competition came out tough, but I'm still standing on my feet. And my faith in the Most High, the reason I can't be beat. While I'm on this earth, I'm putting in work. I'm about to go berserk. In the kitchen, I've been whipping, and y'all about to get dessert. So save the hate. I'm too focused trying to win. Counting trophies, cause we gon' win again. It's a celebration. We just won the championship. Congratulations. We worked hard, believed in the dream with dedication. We locked arms, put time in the gym. Cooperation. About to spin the block one more time. It's celebration. This is celebration.
You're on Facebook.
This is celebration.
This is celebration. Episode number 2.
This is celebration.
Let's go.
It's fourth quarter, line them up, cause I'm about to take that shot. Tell that competition when they try to stop me, they will not. Let me talk to the academics, that's my G's with degrees. Give them A+ effort, but remember C's get degrees. Have some grace for yourself, get some space for yourself. Hit that gym and get your health, and check that bank and get your wealth. Cause real estate can build your wealth. If you can cook, then be a chef. If you can sing, then hit that studio and give it all your breath. I'm trying to put you on the game, the different ways to get that bread. I pay my bills on time, I'm on my grind. My next with cherry red, turn that music up. Yeah, we up, yeah, that means we stuck. We gon' win so much that them blessings overflow the cup. Heading towards my peak, yeah, my team gon' start this winning streak. Time to move your feet. Don't you hear them trumpets in the beat? Yes, I'm celebrating me. This that year that I'ma shine. You should press rewind, cause we gon' run it back one more time. It's a celebration. We just won the championship. Congratulations. We worked hard, believed in the dream with dedication. We locked arms, put time in the gym. Cooperation. About to spin the block one more time. It's celebration. This is celebration. This is celebration. This is celebration.
Yeah, y'all know what it is, man. Another episode of Joe Boss Radio. We are officially here. Let me turn that off for y'all so we can get started with this episode for today. Welcome to episode number 2. And I'm telling y'all, man, we're going to have an amazing time, man. We're going to, a little bit in the show, just in a few minutes, we're going to be bringing in my man, Dr. Zac Talley. Let me tell y'all, man, if you want to know somebody who is about their business, this is one of those brothers. This is one of those brothers that you can say, you know what? I'm glad I got to know him, or at least know about him, because I'm telling y'all, he's a major player in the industry of finance. And I'm telling you, man, you're really going to enjoy it. All right. So let's get started with the show. I'm going to take just a few minutes just to go over a couple of things, right? Because listen, welcome to Joe Boss Radio. All right. Listen, this is a place where we don't just talk about life, right? We're going to talk about leveling up at every stage, at every place. We're always talking about leveling up, right? So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, do me a favor right now. Hit that like and share button. And if you haven't already, subscribe and follow so you don't miss these lives. All right. Make sure you subscribe and follow because guess what? We're going to have a good time on this episode. We're going to do a lot. All right. And also, drop a comment where you're from. What city and state are you rising up from? Where are you rocking with us from? Listen, we want to know. We want to know. All right. And listen, grab your phone right now. Do it. Make sure you got on your phones, on your tablet. Hit that share button. All right. Real simple. You see the stream? You see the stream. Just go and share. All right. But listen, let's jump right into this topic, man. So the reason I want to talk to y'all before we get started, right, is because I have built this show around what I'm calling the 7 motivations, right? And I went over that in detail last week. So I'm not going to drop too much about specifically what that's about. But basically, whether people admit it or not, we're all driven by something. Something's pushing you, something's pulling you, right? Something is shaping your choices. And tonight, we are going to zero in on 2 of those motivations, right? And that's money and mastery. We're going to talk about money and mastery, right? So let me start here. When I say money, I'm not talking about being flashy, right? I'm not talking about flexing for the gram. What I am talking about is options though, right? I'm talking about stability. I'm talking about freedom. I'm talking about being able to breathe when life happens because guess what? If you live long enough, life will happen. And that's a fact, right? And I'll be real, money can be a blessing and it can be a burden because money is a tool. But the problem is people fall in love with the tool and use the people when they should be loving the people and using the tool, right? So if you don't learn to use that tool will start to use you. And it happens to the best of us. It can literally happen to any of us, right? Because some of us have lived that, right? You've worked hard. You have done what you had to do to make your life the best that you could, right? But somehow it still feels like you're behind. Have you ever noticed that? Like sometimes you can be doing everything that you're supposed to be doing the right way, right? You can be doing everything that you're supposed to be doing the right way. But for some reason, it still feels as if things are just not falling in place financially, right? So tonight we're going to have some real conversations about money, right? Because it's not just making more. We're going to talk about thinking better. We're going to talk about moving smarter, right? We're going to talk about building a foundation so your future isn't shaky. No more shaky futures, right? And listen, I'm not sitting here telling you that I got everything perfect, right? The purpose of this show is that we all are going to grow together. That's what we're going to do. We are going to grow together, right? So we want to talk about that, right? The second motivation that we're going to talk about today is mastery. That one right there is the difference between people who want a new life and people who actually build one, right? Because mastery is one of those things where it's not necessarily about talent, right? Mastery is not perfection. Mastery is reps. It's consistency. It's the boring stuff done long enough that it produces results. That's mastery. Mastery is what happens when you stop waiting on motivation and you start living by discipline. I know that's a curse word. I know. It's for a long time, it's been that for me. And in some ways, it still is, right? I'm growing every day, just like I'm encouraging you all. But it requires discipline through and through. There's no other way to describe it. There's no other way to talk about it. It's discipline, right? So make sure y'all paying attention to what we're talking about today. And listen, we're going to connect the dots. We're going to connect the dots between discipline, between the money and the mastery, right? Because a lot of people want money, but they don't want to build the mastery. I saw something today. I read something today, right? And listen, I'll share with you the people that I listen to, right? I listen to a lot of authors that look like me, that are all about sharing their resources. They're all about sharing the knowledge for you to grow. So a person that I just recently found out about is Myron Golden, right? And he said something to me that was so profound. He says, it's not hard to be a millionaire, right? It's not hard to be a millionaire. It's hard becoming the person that is a millionaire. Do you get that? It's hard becoming the person that it takes to be a millionaire. See, if you can work on yourself, if you can work on yourself and master that, you can be a millionaire. You can be a millionaire, right? So it's not impossible. It's not something that you can't learn, but you can do it, right? So listen, you cannot have a harvest without seed, right? But money without mastery, it does turn into stress. You ever had a period in your life where you had a whole lot of money, and then all of a sudden now all you got is a whole lot of debt? It's because you didn't master handling that money. You didn't. You didn't master that. Money without mastery goes from I made it to I lost it. That's hard. That's a hard one. And I'm gonna raise my hand. I've been through it to where I made money and then I lost it, right? So that's why I want to help you avoid my pitfalls, right? And if you have pitfalls that you ever want to talk about, jump in the comments and tell me how you feel, right? Uh, jump in the comments and invite somebody else to listen that you know needs to listen, right? So another one more minute. I'm gonna take one more minute. I'm gonna wrap this up and get in there with my boy Zac. But just a couple of quick points that I want y'all to listen to, right? So when we're talking about money, I want y'all to think about it in three lanes, right? The first one is awareness. Do you actually know where money is going? You're not guessing, you're not hoping, but do you know? Are you keeping a budget? Right? Because if you are, then I can look at your budget and tell you what's important to you. And the reason I'm asking you that, because the second word I want you to think about is alignment, right? Does your spending match what you say you want? If your goals and your habits don't agree, your future is just going to be confused. I know, right? I'm hitting y'all with some bullets real quick early in the episode, right? That's because I got to get it out now, because once Zac get on here, I promise you, my boy is going to take over. I'm telling y'all, once he gets on here, it's a wrap. Because listen, I'm nice about it. I'm being, having a little bit of coof. But once Zac get on here, Zac gonna tell you straight up what it is, and that's what I appreciate. A brother who's not afraid to say what he got to say. All right. The last part for money is the third thing is automation. Right. See, winners don't rely on willpower; they set up systems. Right. This is the area for me personally that I plan to grow in 2026. Systems. Right. I think I need to develop a system so that I can train other people to do what I do and therefore multiply my efforts. Right? Systems, right? It's not willpower, it's systems. You save on a system, you pay off debt on a system, you set up your protection and your investments on a system, right? Because your system will beat your emotions any day. It will. All right. And then for mastery, mastery is first, it's a standard. What do you do no matter what? Right? When you feel like it, when you don't feel like it. What is the standard that you live by? Is it on schedule? Right? That's that automation coming back. If it's not scheduled, it's not real. This is what I tell people all the time. If it's not on my calendar with an actual calendar invite, we did not have this conversation, because I'm probably not going to remember what we spoke about, because being in business for yourself, you have to compartmentalize, right? And listen, we're human. We're not machines where we're going to remember every single detail. So if we don't have a meeting about it, or at least something on the calendar, it's not happening. And support Here's the last thing I'm gonna say, and then we're gonna bring in my brother. Support. Mastery grows faster in community. You need coaches, you need mentors, you need accountability, you need good voices around you, right? So here's the question that I want you to answer in the comments. All right. Which one are you working on right now? Is it money or is it mastery? Which one? Just type in money or mastery. And maybe you could ask a question, what is the biggest challenge that you may have right now? And this is a no judgment zone, right? This is a growth zone. This is a growth zone. What does that mean? Ain't no dumb questions, right? Unless you come in here being crazy, then I'm not even going to acknowledge that. We'll just kick you out, right? Because we want people who's serious about their growth here, right? So that's the first thing, right? And every week you got to come back. That's the accountability. Because if I'm gonna be here giving you this information for free 99, the least you can do is come back and listen to it. Be here. You got to be here. You have to participate in your own growth. You can't sideline your own growth. It does not work. You cannot sit back and say, yeah, I'm going to watch me grow, but I'm not going to actually put effort into it. That don't even make sense, do it? That sounds crazy. But there's people who literally sit back and think that their growth is going to happen just because they watch something, right? You got to have some action with whatever you're doing. All right. Let me get off the soapbox because I started this episode heavy, right? Because we got to. Joe Boss Radio is not playing with y'all. We got to start heavy sometimes. But here we go, man. Listen, I am going to bring to the stage my brother from, I'm gonna say my new brother from another, right? Because we just connected. We've known each other for about a year now, but we really just started chopping it up lately and working on some projects together, man. I want to bring to the stage my brother Zac Talley. And just so you guys know a little bit about Zac, man, he is a financial psychologist. I've never even heard of that before I met this dude. Like I've heard of financial professional, financial advisor, you know what I mean, financial representative. I have never even heard the term financial psychologist put together. That sounds like two oxymorons, but it's the truth. Truth, right? Oh, big shout to everybody tune in. I see we're not average. I appreciate you. I see Britasha. The first lady. Yes. Yes. Thank you for tuning in. And I see that you also said that you are working on mastery. So I appreciate that. And then my man from We're Not Average is also working on mastery. Good. Good. This is what we're talking about. So back and Zac, man. Zac, like I said, he's the founder and CEO of the 1863 Collaborative, which is community-focused family office dedicated to empowering middle-class families with a unique methodology that integrates financial psychology, behavioral economics, and comprehensive financial education. That is a mouthful, sir. That's just to read, let alone to hear what you're doing, brother. I love it. I love it, man. So he's doing a whole lot. My brother is a doctor. Um, he has a Juris Doctorate in finance. I see, BSBA in finance.
Mhm.
Juris Doctor in taxation. Tell me if I'm reading this wrong, sir.
So I've got a BSBA in finance. I've got a JD, which is a Juris Doctorate law degree, and then
Yeah,
I've got an LLM, which is a Master's of Law in Taxation. So it's an advanced law degree in addition to a law degree. But yeah. And
nice.
funny enough, I didn't even like school. So
Listen, ain't that funny how God will use the things that you don't like to be the things that you end up mastering,
absolutely,
quite literally,
absolutely,
to for your purpose, man. So praise God. Listen, man, thank you
Ab-
for rocking with us and thank you for being on the show today, man. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Listen, everybody in the comments, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, right? That's real
absolutely.
simple. Like, subscribe, and share. It's at Joe Boss Radio. We're on IG, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, pretty much all of the platforms. I mean, we're technically on Twitter, but we getting off Twitter. Twitter's turned into something else.
Yeah. Understood.
Twitter's turning into something else. So we getting off of that one. But we're on all those platforms at Joe Boss Radio, so you can rock with us. And make sure you are sharing this episode with your audience, because as you learn something from this, there's going to be somebody else that needs to hear the message from my brother Zac, the tax man. So listen, Dr. Zac, first off, I just can't skip past the title financial psychologist.
Yeah, let's get into it.
That is such an original name, and I've never heard of it. Tell me how that came about.
So yeah. Well, let me start out just by saying, man, first and foremost, thank you for having me on. As you said, we've known each other about a year, been kind of going back and forth with, knowing that we needed to collaborate and sit down and really talk. But it's an honor to be here. So financial psychology is a more or less newly emerging field. It does take the premises of psychology, and then it pairs it with finance, because one of the things that a small group of us as financial professionals, or even psychological professionals who are realizing that financial anxiety and hardship is starting to brew, it's one of those situations where they're starting to realize that there have to be practicum and theoretics put in place to try to resolve it, or at least figure out what's going on. For me, I did not take the traditional route to anything that I've done ever. But in this, for me, this last situation that I went through, which we'll get into a little bit later, just let me know, after building what many would consider to be a successful practice, I started starting to look at my clients differently. I started to realize that not only were they not learning, but the financial anxiety and the stress and them going to work every day to jobs that they didn't like, with people that they couldn't stand, having to come home to houses that they didn't like, sometimes to spouse they didn't really like too much either. And then it just turns into a reciprocal process. My question was always, who said you had to do it? And so we ended up going down a few different rabbit holes, but there are a few organizations that are now set up to certify you as financial psychologists if you have certain backgrounds. I personally preferred to get it out of the muck and really go in hard, working in healthcare and certain other areas to pull up the practicum that was actually going to get real results. So,
wow, that's an amazing thing. That's an amazing thing. So when you were, I guess, getting into taxes and getting into that whole side, did you feel like, did you know that this is where you wanted to take, learning that side of the business of finance and turning it into, what you're doing over at the 1863 Project and Unified Principle? Like, was that always the plan, or was that something that you kind of fell into and end up mastering it?
Great question, man. So yes and no. Unified Principle always had. So when I opened Unified Principle, it was always with the intention of pouring into our community. When I say our, yes, I do mean Black and brown, but I also mean middle class, period. Middle class, the middle class demographic of America is what makes the entire economy work. Not just for the country, but for the world. Because every single other country is dependent on our spending. Middle class America is who's spending most of the money. They're the ones that are going to work every day, busting their tails, et cetera, et cetera. So I always knew that my one purpose was always going to be pouring into this demographic of people. And it started with wanting to address one of the main things that had everybody scared. Everybody runs from the things that they're afraid of instead of sitting down and learning. And so when it came to taxes and the IRS, everybody's running for the hills. I want to learn it. I want to understand how to beat these people. And then I did. I continued to beat them to a point where they backed up and left me alone. And then with the funding brokerage, it was a matter of, a lot of black and brown small businesses need funding, but their bank issues and credit issues, funding issues,
Yeah.
houses are the
It's a
same
different
thing.
it's a different
Exactly.
set of problems that you have to address.
Exactly. And my whole thing is the industry's not going to set itself up to address those issues because there's only money in it when they can get you on a loop. If it's not going if
Mm,
it's not where I can have you tied in for 30 plus years and I know that the money's going to keep coming, it's not worth my time. So while everybody else is kind of going towards one, they're going for the higher reaching fruit. I wanted to make sure I was just continuously pouring into the people that pour into me. It's where I come from. And it
yeah.
didn't matter how much money I made. But that being said, no, the route that we're going now was not in my foresight. In 2023, I ended up at the end of the year, I ended up finding out that I was having some health issues that really made me have to sit down and reassess my life.
In
Not
2023.
just and at the very end, Christmas week of 2023, I had
Yeah.
started losing my memory. I had some really, really bad issues going on, and I had to check into a neuro clinic to find out what was going on. Found out I was having many strokes from
Wow.
literally working too hard. But a hundred
That's
hour weeks will
crazy.
do that to you. A hundred
Yeah.
hour weeks will do that to you.
Yeah.
And when you couple it with trauma, bad culture, bad church, imbalanced spirituality, lack of self-care, then I mean it's bound to happen. So in that exact day, I actually had to kind of sit down because when I found out what was going on with my neurological system, I also got a call maybe 3 hours later about a friend committing suicide, all in the
Ooh.
same day. So it made
Wow.
me really sit down and I had to really go to God and ask, what am I supposed to do with this? Because this is a lot and it's heavy and it's
Yeah.
like 3 days before Christmas. And I don't like Christmas because of trauma and things I've been through. So it was one of those things where I really had to sit down. But he told me that he wasn't punishing me and he was preparing me. And he also told me I had to start using my voice. And I did not know what that meant. I did not know how to perceive it. But I woke up all of a sudden. It was like I became more and more aware of a lot of things. I became more aware that my clients, if I were to die, they wouldn't be any better off now than they were 10, 15 years ago when they started with me in many cases because I'm not teaching them. They're not learning. I'm just providing a
Mm,
service. I
yeah.
realized that the things I cared about at that point, everything would fall apart and nothing would be well because I was not well to begin with. Um,
Wow.
all the way down to the way I built the business. It just was not. I built my business from a laptop and a cell phone and grew into over 1,300 clients over a span of years and never really deviated. And I didn't create systems. I didn't do any of that. In fact, I was operating from a place of lack because I didn't
Mm,
trust people. So that is
okay.
actually what made me realize, hold on, there's way more here. My wife, who has always been big on self-care, but she's a systems oriented, systems driven person, she was
Right.
like, she was like, no, we're not doing this. And this is what you need to do. And this is how we need to go about it. And I will work with you, but you're going to have to make some changes. And she was absolutely right. So that's exactly what we did. But he made me more spiritually aware, and that made me more ept and more impassioned to figure out some answers. So I started looking at the industry I was in, like, how can I fix or address some of the real root issues and not just keep playing the game, buffering the surface and making my money.
Yeah.
Because that's not
So
legacy.
I want to dive into that a little bit
Yeah, yeah,
more
let's
because,
go.
like, I've worked in finance for many years as well. From your perspective, right? Especially being on the tax side of things, right? Or at
Yeah.
least that's where you started from.
Hmm.
What would you say are some of those big problems? What would you say are, some of those foundational lack of, and I'll say lack of knowledge, right? Because
Yeah.
people, you don't know what you don't know,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And that's what we want to help people learn some of the things that they don't know. So what would you say
So
again, foundational problems?
so you're asking about specifically within the finance industry, correct? Or you're just
Yeah, I
asking
mean,
about across the board?
well, we could start with finance and then dive deeper.
Okay.
Because I
Well, I
mean,
think
yeah, because we were talking about taxes and
yeah,
everything, and then we'll just keep going from there.
no problem. Honestly, I
Yeah.
think it's all interlinked, bro. Um,
Mm,
so the issue is the finance system, but it's also our belief system too.
mm,
A lot of us, and I often say, it's crazy that you have a limitless guy and a limited mindset as to what he can do with you, right? But the
ooh.
reality is most of us have become too dependent on any of the systems that are out here anyways. Now we can get into talking about the fact that financial illiteracy is what I would argue to be the number two worst public epidemic of the world, period. Because you look at the standard of living, the quality of life, you look at every element going all the way down to certain demographics and communities where it's always all low fast food chains, terrible groceries, liquor, tobacco, and package stores. Meanwhile, you go to the other sides where there's more wealth and you don't see any McDonald's, you don't see any liquor stores. There's not a liquor store within 20 minutes of where I live because it's a more developed, higher end area. Meanwhile,
Right.
there are areas in Atlanta I can go into, and it's a liquor store on every corner. It is designed that way. But when we look at the underbacking and underlying of it, they account on our ignorance and our naivete. Otherwise, the
Mm,
one thing that you would have to deal with throughout your whole life to be a productive citizen, they would teach it to you from the very beginning so that you could be a good steward of it at the end, right? I think there are 16 states that require seniors to take at least 20 hours of financial planning before they graduate. That's like a week. That's a
yeah.
week
Not
of
even.
financial. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's not
16
not
hours,
not
you
even.
could do that in 2 days.
Exactly. So and so there you go. So we're graduating high school seniors, and if we look at the matriculation rate of who goes off to college, by high school senior year, you should at least know how to. You should know something about credit. You should know something about balancing bills and budgets, but it's not there. Now, if we talk about that's the systemic part. If we talk about the industrial part, well, you're fine. You've been in insurance planning, tax planning. You've even worked with banks. They always start with a budget, right? Well, a budget's no different from a diet plan. If I just hand you a meal plan and say stick to this, there's no guarantee you're going to lose weight or hit your target.
Right.
We're not going into sentiment and TTM models. We're not thinking about what your relationship is with money, how you were groomed into understanding money, what your
Mm,
perceived value is in correlation
yes.
to money. So
Yes.
so most people think, okay, if my net worth is only XYZ, then I haven't made it yet, or I haven't. Your net worth has nothing to do with your real world value and worth.
That's
But
it.
the reality is the wealth disparities, the wealth gaps, the pockets that they put you in, you're also being neuro marketed towards as well to feel like, okay, this is the box I fit in. So therefore, anything outside of it is not designed for me. I grew up
Okay.
in that.
So
I
would you
grew
say
up in that.
that would you say that the system has been designed against certain groups?
Man, I will say the system has always been against certain groups. If you go back to all of the systems, especially the ones of this country, absolutely, absolutely, it is an evolved version of what the Romans had going back in the day of Jesus. If you really look at it,
Yeah.
now the other side of it is being that we're here, there are options, tools, and resources to change your life. But
Hmm.
most of us are so focused and steady in what tradition has not served us, but we're gonna keep doing it because we're loyal. What culture is telling us is the fad and cool, which we don't even own our culture culturally anymore.
Yeah.
And there are
Yeah.
all these other facets to keep us distracted. So most of the time we'll see something in front of us and we'll be like, this keeps happening to me, but maybe it's God doing it for you. maybe you're just looking at it wrong. And
Yeah,
so
and
that's how I got here. So
wow, that's amazing. And I appreciate brothers like you because I can tell you like my background, originally born in West Virginia, moved to New York in college, right?
yeah,
And I can tell you that transition was such an eye-opening experience, right? Because not that it's that so much of a better place, right? But for the first time, I got to see what success looked like in real time. I got to meet people who look like me that were really successful. I can tell you, growing up in the city of Beckley, there were success was just being able to maintain your job until retirement for a lot of people. That was
hello, yeah,
success. Having a job most of your life. Because there's a lot of people that didn't, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, it was hard to have aspirations for things you've never seen. Like if I had stayed there, I would have never gotten into finance, right?
yeah,
I was not exposed to it. And you said something earlier, your relationship with money, that that your relationship with money is passed down to you from your family. How
absolutely,
your parents
absolutely,
view money is how you're going to view money. So
absolutely,
if your parents
absolutely.
always saw things from a state of lack, like I don't have enough of this, I don't have enough of that, that's how you're going to view money, right? Or if they view it negatively and say things like only rich people have money, so they must have did something, you know, underhanded to get it, right?
That's the
Then
one.
you will self-sabotage
Because you
because
don't
when
want to
you
be a
start
bad person.
because you don't want to be a bad person.
Yeah,
And
or even
you and
culturally, the
somehow
music.
that's we listen, that could be a whole nother show just on that one because music right now, the way the system is set up, is designed for you to take what you have and just give it and give it all away for the sake of looking like you have more than what you have.
Hello. Yes. Yes. It's an identity crisis, man.
Yeah,
Um, but the
absolutely.
reality is, it is while it is very much still design, the base root of it is also the severed connection that we do not have with our ancestral past. Like we
Mm,
don't have a true sense of self-worth and culture here as Black Americans because we don't know where our roots are beyond slavery in
that was
most
taken from
cases.
us. Yeah,
Exactly. So
yeah.
what we have to do, and I learned this from Fawn Weaver actually, but what we have to do is we have to understand the narrative that we do have knowledge of. Because what we do know is over 12 million Africans were taken and put into enslavement and then brought to the Americas. We know only about 400,000 made it to North America.
Woo.
And then some of them made it into slavery. And then who made it out? That's the part that we're the relatives of. So if we
Yeah.
don't know anything else, we know we are the strongest, of the most resilient, of the most brilliant, of the of what I would like to say, without tooting our black and brown horns too much, is we are the closest thing to a godly figure that exists just in that. Because when we talk about
Mm,
that travel from Africa to the Americas, we're
yes.
talking about
Only the
feast
strongest
and
survive.
come on, we're talking
Only the strongest
feces,
survive. Right.
sickness, no
Right.
food, no health care, people committing suicide, jumping because they refuse to take it. I have to talk about the dark side because we like to glamorize what it probably looked like since we don't have that context. And that's what kills us.
Yeah.
Media and everything that we've been fed, the entire purpose is to make our actual understanding deviate from our placement. So it's our journey to go back. It's our they what do they say, Joe? Easiest way to hide something is to put it in a book.
The easiest way.
But we'd rather Netflix and chill.
You got to participate in your own growth.
That's it. That's it.
You got to participate.
That's because guess what? The person who was supposed to come and save you, they came and went. And the people who were supposed to go through all the struggle for you, they did, and they're gone. So now it's your turn. You up. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the nature of our practice, man. Just
You,
liberation
I
through of the
also want to
mind.
say, and like you said, like how things it's been an interesting journey because for myself, I can tell you that I remember working in banking, and most of my counterparts did not look like me,
Hello.
right? And I remember walking into the lunchroom one day, and one of them, uh, Italian woman, was having a conversation about when her family came here in the 1600s, right? And she was talking about it with such pride and how they could trace all of their lineage back to the 1600s, right? And I remember just listening to it, and that's when it hit me like, I don't know any or many African Americans that can trace their lineage past the early 1900s or late 1800s.
Right.
You
Right.
you can't trace it because it was stripped away.
There were
And
no records.
this and to say that, to go from there to 2025, when yes, they still in a lot of ways have tried to hold us down. They still try their best to put their foot on our neck. But guess what? Our culture that we've developed in spite of the oppression is probably the number one copied culture in the world.
That's the prime example of our greatness, bro. I
E-
mean,
Every
there is
everything
no
we
stopping
do, like everything we do gets copied, gets pushed forward,
and then
but they
taken.
don't want to give us the credit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
If
mean?
that.
They,
If
if the
that.
right. So sometimes like we've had to go through some of the worst things in history and we still survive, right? And we're still at this point, I'd say we're growing into a place of thriving if you know where to look,
Yeah.
right? And people need this exposure to meet a Dr. Talley. They need to meet Dr. Zach. You know what I'm saying? Because they may until this episode, they may have never seen a brother go from what they know into seeing somebody that's doing what you're doing.
That's true. That's
You
true.
know what I
It's a
mean?
very uncommon feel. And
It,
I'm
not, not
actually,
a, so that makes
yeah,
you a unicorn, bro.
yeah. It
And and,
does.
and it makes you a unicorn in a lot of ways because you are having success in the field where in a lot of ways a lot of us have been blackballed from.
So yes, and I appreciate that. But
Yeah, good.
I also want to acknowledge that. So I grew up hearing a lot of what they won't let, what they won't allow, what a lot of what you spoke on earlier in regard to just the they narrative of who has control.
Yeah.
I've been through so much real life before the law degree and before all the things that I I think for me, and this kind of goes back into never having a father figure, never having the role models,
Mm,
never having the mentors. I think with my mom having the mindset that she did in the they won't let, I grew up knowing that I was never going to ask for anybody's permission.
mm,
And I've always been the oddball in every situation I was in. I've been the only black guy in the room a whole lot of times, but what I learned to do is stop being nervous about that or stop feeling insecure like I don't belong there. And I started looking at it as there's a reason God put me here, so let me get everything out of this room I can, and I'm going to do it without cowering. I'm going to do it
yeah,
without sitting down in my chair and being afraid,
yeah,
because at the end of the day, he put me here because I have value. And that's one thing I think a lot of people don't understand. They don't understand that they have a unique design and a unique value that they're supposed to bring to the world. Instead, we try to fit in each other's shoes. And if the fit ain't right, then we want to force our feet to stuff anyways because it
yeah.
looks good, because they think that that's where you're going to find happiness, success, joy. And all of that stuff is internal. Happiness is a temporary feeling. Joy is everlasting. So it has to
Woo.
be internal. And when it boils down to it, if you don't know who you are or whose you are, then you're leaving it up to any and everybody else to tell you your value, your placement, where you belong. And at the end of the day, it won't fit. It won't be a good fit. My mom, I remember one time after getting in a whole lot of trouble in my younger years.
Yeah.
My mom hadn't seen me for a couple of years, and she saw me with a bunch of tattoos. And she was like, Zach, how are you gonna get a job? I wasn't planning on going and getting a job. I planned on creating my opportunity. And then I grew out my hair and I wore my tats out. Cause guess what? I'm me. And at the end of the day, whether it's my education, my mindset, my work ethic, whatever it is, there's no man that can keep me out of any room that I want to go into. I will kick the door in, make everybody else leave, and then I'll bring in my own people if I need.
Yeah.
And that is the energy I began to take into rooms. But that came after a lot of deep seeking and understanding, once again, who I was and who I belonged to. Because I had to go back and look at my past, bro. I got a lot of trauma. Yeah. I just started healing a couple years ago. But when I had the perspective of and the proper context of what he did for me, okay. Now I know who I am. Let me readdress. Let me armor up and walk in here knowing that it's a war every time I step into the room. But he built me like that. What am I afraid of? What they gonna do? Tell me I don't belong there?
I know that's right.
I mean, so we as a people have to start really going deeper on our faith first. Because we're out of alignment, bro. We live from such a place of scarcity religiously, spiritually, emotionally, financially, like every area. And that's why we can't see progress if we're constantly lowering and cowering ourselves. It won't work like that. That's why the wealth disparity keeps rising and getting wider and wider. We're progressing, but we're walking at the speed where everybody else is on a highway. They're driving.
Wow.
And so the reality, bro, is when it really, really comes down to it, we have to go back into our spiritual bag and go back and fix our foundations. Yeah. Because there's so much hurt. We have inherited so much trauma.
So much,
so much bad religion, so much bad spirituality, so much bad self-perception. And a lot of that makes us feel like we're inadequate. So therefore we have an opportunity to rise up. And we say, well, let me sit down first. No, step up, stand up.
Step up.
What are you doing?
That's it.
So I mean, it's just one of those things, bro. We have to learn to stop depending on traditional route systems because we're untraditional people.
Facts.
We are an untraditional breed, bro.
So let me ask you this. With everything that you mentioned before, was this the foundation for the 1863 project?
Good segue. It absolutely was. Okay. It absolutely was, man.
Yeah. So how did that come about? Like, what was the thought process? How are you marrying all the things that you do for the 1863?
So yeah, man, great question. I like how you did that. So as you said, I started my company 17 years ago. Yeah. I mean, when it boils down to it, I've seen everything. I've worked with high net worth, ultra high net worth. I was a corporate consultant and tax attorney. So I've seen multi-billion-dollar contracts. I've had clients that barely made $20,000 a year. I've watched people rise into, 100 plus Xing their income. I've learned systems. So I took a lot of tools and continued to build up, but like I said, when I had that health scare, I was trying to figure out what God meant by I need you to use your voice. And I wasn't sure how I was supposed to do it. I went and started a podcast. Then I started doing more public speaking. And what I realized this past tax season was we're so heavily imprisoned by anxiety and systemic traps. I'll put it that way, that it literally is deteriorating our mindset. And so I started doing a more due diligence on how did we even get here? With that, I came across 1863. And that year captivated me for a lot of different reasons. What I did not know is we always hear about reparations, but we had the land in 1861 and 62, they took it back. What I was always wondering,
wow.
we celebrate Juneteenth, but that was the end. So when was the beginning? So I went back, and that's when I realized, okay, January 1st, 1863 was when the radical states signed the Emancipation Act. But what a lot of people, and that's what we celebrate, all good and well, I love it. But what we don't know is February 25th, they started the Banking Act.
Same year.
Same exact year, just 50
Yeah.
some odd days later.
Yeah.
And so, but we were not allowed to bank. We were not even allowed to understand finance. It was still very much, you better not get caught in the street reading and doing this, that, and the other. But you also cannot bank. You have
That's
this
crazy.
hard set of skills.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep making it hard. So what I realized is, if we wanted to be a equal country, that was the best time to do it. We had all the manpower and the ability to work. We were even nursing their children, tending to their land, building their homes.
Yes.
Meanwhile, they had the money, they had the economic resources. So if there was any ideology of being on level playing ground, that was the best time to do it. Fast forward to 2025. Well, now we are seeing this new political regime where this country is starting to look more like let's call it a neo-Dubai, where they're pushing, everybody's going to have to be self-employed. We're talking about universal base income. There are a lot of things emerging, but what I'm looking at is this reincarnation of a period, because this thing called AI has the opportunity to liberate us from what we've traditionally known as the workplace. You're already seeing all the low-end jobs and a lot of this stuff being taken away and replaced. Yeah. It is going to force us to have to collaborate, cooperate, and push ourselves further. So my whole thing was, well, there are two demographics that are spending over $6 trillion a year, but they're never moving up rank-wise in the wealth gap. So what's that going to mean for them? And then I look at how the overall middle class.
Can you say that dollar amount one more time for the people in the back? Because I don't think people can really understand how much money that really is.
Yeah, so $6 trillion between Black and Brown America
was
spent. Yes, trillion with a
trillion with a T, not the M's.
Right.
Not the B's.
No,
the T's, the trillion.
Yes, 6 trillion. And now, Joe, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what we spent. That's not taking into account the money you're losing from payday loans, the money you're losing from check cashing places, the money you're spending on cars you can't afford, clothes that you don't need, rent when you're overpaying. So I mean, there are a lot of there, and that my wife and I quantified some of those numbers just last week, and that's over the 200 billion mark from what we could find data.
That's so crazy. And listen, for everybody in the comments, for that, if you're part of that 6 trillion, the 6 trillion, I need y'all to show some love and send part of that to the Cash App of Joe Boss Radio. Because we want to continue to be able to operate, build, grow, market. Listen, show some love, man. Cash App, Joe Boss Radio. All right. Hey. I know y'all got it. Y'all got 6 trillion. I know y'all got it. Stop playing.
All right. All I need is $1 from each. Yeah.
Listen, that's all. Listen, $1. That's all I need from y'all. Y'all spend more than that when you go for fast food.
Exactly, man.
I need 6 trillion people. Listen,
$6 trillion.
1 trillion. Just send $1.
Yeah, $6 trillion, bro. That's crazy. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
Crazy.
Now you can extrapolate certain elements of what that 6 trillion looks like, but let's just say we cut it in half. That's still more than Dubai made in 3 years combined. So like perspective, right? That's half.
We're not broke.
We're not broke.
We're not broke in. We're not broke in.
No,
we're producing at high levels.
Yes, we are.
We're keeping most of the businesses in this country alive.
Absolutely. and they know it, but we don't. And that's why they can tell you, I don't care about you, but you're going to spend anyway because you can't help it. They're going to tell you, we won't hire you, but guess what? You're going to spend anyway.
You're going to spend anyway.
They will tell you, I don't like you. I hate your kind. You mean nothing to me. Go up for a rebrand. Within a couple of weeks, we're still buying from them. So the reality is we have ridiculous economic power, but we have such little economic control that it doesn't make sense. I literally, just a couple of weeks ago, my wife and I saw someone who hadn't had a stable job in 5 years. I had helped him and his family figure out how to eliminate a bunch of debt. He had a car that was paid off and no more than 5 years old, but he decided to go lease something because in his opinion, when he went to go get the car taken in for a check, they were on him and they really wanted his car and he thought it was a good deal. You took something you owned and is now an asset, gave it away in a moment of struggle to go purchase a liability. So what I'm seeing constantly is we spend all our money on liabilities and don't accumulate any assets. But then we want to get mad because we don't have X, Y, and Z. It does not work that way. It cannot work that way.
That's like the people who say, yeah, I got 200 pairs of Jordans. All right. How much Jordan stock do you own?
And what's your life insurance look like? Let's talk about it.
Come on.
Because bro, what's your stock portfolio hitting on? What do you have in investments? Because the reality, bro, is the resale value on them Jordans.
Man,
they're not gonna do it for you. They're not gonna do it for you. We've got stuff, but the reality too is, at its foundation, we think we have to impress everybody else. We were conditioned and taught this. Who's gonna let you walk out the house looking like that? You better not have me out here in front of these folk looking like X, Y. Come on now.
In front of them folk.
Yeah.
You better get it right.
It's cultural, bro.
Listen, that you have no idea how cultural that is.
Absolutely.
Or you got an idea, but people don't know. Like, that's one thing you didn't. You better not embarrass my family in front of them folk.
Yep.
You better not.
Yep. Yeah. So
You know what I mean?
That's the reality, man. And I get it. I do understand where a lot of it came from. If you look back over, civil rights have only been around and legal for 63 years. So I mean, and now it's kind of it's retrograding. It's going in reverse. So it makes sense why the carnage that so many of our ancestors went through played into a scarcity mindset. It used to be a thing where if I'm passing another type of family on the sidewalk, if I look down, I'm okay. But if I lock eyes, I'm going to jail.
Yep.
You know, if I looked at somebody and they made me feel uncomfortable, they scream rape and I go. So I understand why and where it comes from, but we can't do the scared thing anymore. It's just going to continue to cascade us downward.
So look, we're getting a little short on time.
Yeah,
I want you to talk about what specifically you're going to be doing with the 1863 project. And also, we got to give a big shout to the First Lady, Bratasia Talley. Excuse me. I said Bratasia Talley, who is now the CEO of Unified Principle. So big shout to her. And congratulations on the new role. So let's talk about that. So let's go first to the transition from you going from the CEO to now passing that on to your wife. And I want to talk about how big that is.
Yeah. So we've always been big on legacy, and legacy does not have to mean kids. Legacy means making sure that whatever it is you invest in or build outlives you. And so my whole thing is I started Unified Principle over a decade and a half ago. But where she's an integrator. I'm a visionary. I know my skill well. So I can handle 1,000 clients, but I'm not serving them in the capacity I should if I'm doing the work. So
Yeah.
what she made me realize was I had to back away and zoom out a little bit so I could help orchestrate and
Yeah.
let her come in and smooth things out. This past year we integrated a new team and it was hell. So we sat down after
Mm.
tax season was over with and we said, listen, we're going to completely rebuild, but we're also going to add value every step of the way. So our clients and anybody who becomes a unified principal client or an 1863 client, they're going to get a really, really awesome experience. But to answer your other question, and by the way, let me, before I get into that, I didn't just pass it down. She earned it.
Oh
She
yeah.
it was just the two of us handling thousands of clients for years. So when I say there's nobody that I know, trust, or even can relate to that understands our client market, the job, the systems, etc. better, it's my wife. Not to mention, I'll never have to question her integrity as it pertains to this business,
Right.
which also allows me to run free and do the stuff I need to do at a higher level.
Mm. That's
So I do,
amazing.
yeah, I do want to
That
say
is
that.
amazing, especially because I remember when we connected the last time was the Mary class. I can't remember the name of it,
The
which
conference,
was
yes,
the conference, which was hosted by the Restoration Place. That's my home church in
yes.
Charlotte, North Carolina. So
Pastor
come on
Dexter
through if you
Howard
need a
and
good
Ned
church.
Howard,
You know
yes,
what I mean?
yes.
Come on through the Restoration Place
Beautiful people. I
org.
love them so much.
Excuse me, Restoration Place
That is family.
CLT.org.
Yes,
You know what
yes,
I mean?
yes. Tap in,
Tap
tap
in.
in.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
know. Listen, we got some of them in the comments, so shout them out. Make sure y'all put that in the comments so people click on the link,
Hey, family.
restorationplaceclt.org, and let's continue. So go ahead. So
Yeah,
being able to have you and your wife work together to
yeah,
build something like this, how did that work? Because I know there's people who I've heard it's extremely difficult to work with family, but there's other people who say I would prefer to work with my family. So
yeah.
clearly you guys prefer it and you've made it work. So talk about that. How did you make it work?
So honestly, we didn't make it work, man. God ordained it to work, bro.
Okay.
Man, I knew who I was marrying. And she knew who she was marrying. We didn't, but I get to answer that, I gotta go all the way back. We didn't enter our relationship in the traditional way. I asked really, really hard questions. We had a lot of really difficult conversations. At one point, I intimidated her because of how many deep, hard questions I was having, but she was looking for her husband. I was looking for my wife. That being said, as I said, man, she's put in the groundwork for the last 5, 6 years with me in my company. During COVID, I downsized. So the week before COVID, both of my offices in Nashville, Tennessee, got destroyed by a tornado. About within 2 weeks, they shut it down and said COVID's out. So I moved. I lost my entire team. I lost two of my corporate business buildings, but I had the clients still, and we continued to grow.
Yeah.
It was just me and my wife.
Yeah.
So as I said, she understands the business from a standpoint of understanding what's positive, what's negative, how the clients react, how they respond, what's needed, what she would do if she owned it. So it just made a lot of sense. But to ask about the other part of it, we just work well together, man. She is my best friend. She is my confidant. We pray together. We're very intentional about our relationship. I love, love, love my wife. And the intention behind who I was going to select was very much it has to be somebody I can build with.
Mm.
I would
Yeah.
not have selected her. I don't think God would have put me with her if that was not somebody I could build with, because he knew I did not want to just have a few kids and get the white picket fence going and just sit down. He knew I was here to magnify, maximize, and glorify him through multiplication. And that comes through our practice, our work, we love this, like, for real.
That's what's
Um,
up.
yeah, yeah. Community oriented, man. We do it for our people.
Yeah.
To get into kind of the other question you asked though with the 1863, we're hell bent on helping as many people that want to help themselves as possible. That's the short and thin of it. We've got resources, tools, access to all kinds of things. I'm a partner of a multi-centabillion dollar family office. So I know things, I have tools, but I want to bring them to us. I can get multi-million dollar clients. I have them. It's just it's not as fulfilling. It pays the bills, but it's not the same. I'm
Okay.
looking for impact over dollars.
That's important because that old saying is people want to know how much you care before they know how much you know.
Yeah. They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Absolutely.
That's powerful. So with the 1863 project, is it going to be geared towards education? Obviously, I know it's going to be, we had the conversation offline where it's going to be
Yes.
what you call family office. And just for those who may not be familiar with that terminology, can you explain what a family office is as
Yeah.
opposed to a big firm?
Yeah, so a family office is a wealth management firm. Usually, the phrase was coined by wealthy families who didn't want the stick in the mud regular folk. They wanted to get the best. They wanted the best attorneys, the best estate planners, the best business consultants, the best CPAs. Put them all in one place and have them work as an ecosystem for their finances. When you have wealth, the trick is usually sustainability. But when you don't have wealth, the trick is accumulation. The thing is, if you have the sustainability tools, especially the high level ones, you can go into a lower market and by default force accumulation. So Project 1863 is us connecting with FQHCs, churches, and community-based organizations, really going grassroots and helping them coordinate and facilitate learning opportunities, not just basic financial literacy, because that stuff, it only gets you so far. But we do have an app where you can learn that type of stuff, and we can talk about that here in a second. But the main thing is to get people understanding how to steward what they do have and how to collaborate to gain more.
Wow.
More than that, though, is to find their own value, find their specific unique value, reposition themselves in their own narrative, and then grow and heal to make not only more money or to do better financially, but to just have a better quality and standard quality of life and standard of living.
That's it. That's super powerful. And you've made it readily accessible, right? I believe there's an app
Yeah.
called the 1863 app.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. Talk about the purpose of the app.
Yeah, so the 1863 app is a low-cost entryway into our family. The 1863 app, it is a budget planner, it is a financial coach, a financial planner, and an accountability partner all in one. We have a behavioral economics AI that's actually closed, but it's tied into the app to teach you based on your budget, your goals, and your needs. So every user gets a different experience. You jump on there and you tell your goals, you talk through your finances, and it's going to give you one experience as opposed to somebody who may be getting ready to retire or somebody who's about to have a child and buy a house. Everybody's unique situation is different. But most CFPs, they won't see you unless you make a minimum of 250 to 300 grand.
Right.
Our firm won't see you unless the firm that I'm a partner of won't see you unless you have at least a $20 million net value. So this was my way of saying, hey, for those people who don't make enough, or think they don't, this is an easy way in, because if you don't understand some of the basics, you don't know what questions to ask. You don't know how to approach. So if you want the help, we also offer unlimited financial counseling from accredited financial counselors. And that's in a stepped up package, but essentially there to work with people who feel like they need a little extra support. And it could be anything. Maybe you're thinking about buying a house and having kids or getting married soon, and you just want to make sure you're ready. You want to be a good steward? We can help you. And guess what? You can talk to them every single day of the week if you need to for the same price. So our whole thing is addressing it from a holistic standpoint, but giving you tools, resources, support, and community.
Mm, I love it. I love it, man. Thank you so much with everything that you've been doing.
Bro, I appreciate
Like,
you.
just listen, we could continue this conversation for another hour, but I do want to respect time, and we have people on here want to respect their time too. But
Yeah,
first,
definitely.
man, I want to say thank you for taking the time to just sit down with us and go through these things that you're doing over at Unified Principle at the 1863 Project.
Oh,
Just what I mean, just you're doing some major things, man, and I'm glad that we had the opportunity to chop it up, man. I'm
yeah.
just going to give a few moments in the comments for people who may have wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, go
Just
for it,
put
bro.
put your questions in the comment that you may have for Dr. Zach or for myself. Listen, ain't no dumb questions, right?
Nah, not at all.
There's no dumb questions, right? If you
That's the way.
genuinely want knowledge, let's do it. Let's do it. And
Absolutely.
if and listen, make sure you go on over to your app store. Is it's on Apple and Android?
So it is on Apple. We will be live on Android within the next week. They had some bugging issues that we wanted to get squared away, but yes, you can go into the App Store and it is the 1863 and they download it today. Yeah, for sure.
1863. Love it. Love it, man. That's woo. I want to we're gonna have to come back at some point, man, and dive more
Yeah,
into that because the knowledge of things that you dropped just about that year, I had no idea. I had no idea. It's not something that's discussed. The
by
banking
design.
act, whew, the
By design,
design,
bro.
man.
Yeah,
This has been a real eye opener, man. And what you're doing with the community minded, or excuse me, family system, the family office,
yeah. Community focus.
the
Yeah,
impact that you can have with that is so amazing because there are a lot more people who need help than those who are multimillionaires.
absolutely.
There's a lot more people that need the help.
Absolutely.
You,
And Joe, before we leave, let me drop this stat though. So there are over 1,836 millionaires made every day, every single day, including Sunday. Almost 1,100 of them are Americans. So the reality is everything's turning over.
yeah,
But the trick is, one, you have to understand your value, and two, you're going in for sustainability. If you're creating impact, you don't have to worry about the money. It's gonna come.
it's gonna
We're
come.
right now collaboratively, we've partnered up to where we're already impacting over 30,000 people. It's
Mm,
not even a drop in the bucket though. There's so much more to help. There's
so
so
much
many
more.
people that have so many questions, and every single one of your listeners needs to understand that they have an answer in them for a whole slew of people that have questions. They just have to dial in.
That's it. That's it. So look in the comments. We have a question from Marquise Red Jackson. He says, "Where do you see the 1863 project in the next 5 years?"
Great question. Man. So funny enough, I had actually said something about this a little earlier. I So for me, I see the 1863 as being the uh, the leader in financial liberation and economic equity. I've never been a
Mm,
fighter for equality. It's always been about equity with me. I see individuals having ownership of their final financial decisions and their personal outcomes. I see people being more proactive instead of reactive. I see heightened spirituality. I see more confidence. I see leaderships being developed, collaborations being made. Um, Man, reduced anxiety, economic resilience. I mean, more social justice because we're stepping up and we know who we are and we understand
yeah.
who, like corporate accountability, bro. All of that is tied to this. But more than
Mm,
anything, I see in a world where there's a war against woke, I see us making a lot of people awake and aware.
wow.
So,
Wow.
and I can get into the nuts and bolts
That's a
of what it
bar
could
right
look
there.
like, but no need.
That's a whole bar right there.
Yeah,
In the
you
world
don't.
against woke, people are becoming awake and aware.
Yeah, that's it.
Man, that's amazing. That's amazing. Marquise Marquise Jackson says, "Great vision, bro. I'm riding with you till the wheels fall off."
Love you, brother. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely
yes,
appreciate you tuning in, Marquise, man. Thank you, brother. Great
yeah.
conversation with you earlier today, too. I had a chance to chop it up with him and
Oh
get to
man,
know the
beautiful.
brother.
The
So
brother's
yeah,
brilliant. Yeah.
yeah, I can tell that. I can tell that. We had we had a conversation for like an hour, and just some of the jewels he was dropping was like, wow, okay, I'm in the right
Yes.
circle. I'm
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
right
yeah.
circle. This is what I needed.
Absolutely.
This is what you need. You know what I mean? You need to be surround yourself with brothers and sisters like you and your wife to do some major things. And you guys are not just talking about it, you're doing it at a high level. So
We
for
have to.
somebody like me, I appreciate you, brother, because not only am I here to promote what you have going on, but I'm also here to learn with you. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
I have my areas of expertise, but I also have areas that I need to learn. And that's
And
so
we all
much
do.
that I can definitely learn from uh rocking with a brother like you. We
Absolutely.
got some more questions in the comments. How do you get past the shame of your past financial mistakes? Sometimes it
Mm,
just seems hopeless.
that's such a
Mm,
good question. That's such a good question.
yeah,
So, how do you get past the shame of your past mistakes? So, one, you have to understand that the shame is the enemy's tool. It's the only one he has. We learn that in Genesis. I'm a believer. I'm a person of faith, so I got to go there.
absolutely.
The first thing we learned is about it is that that's he gives you shame. But my thing is just like Adam and Eve. What are you hiding from? What is there to be shameful in there? What I would ask you to do more or less is go back and analyze the why. Analyze what it was that you needed to learn from that moment. And then we carry forward. Because if you're still bonded and held back and imprisoned or incarcerated by your past, so much so that you're hanging on to a financial decision that's done, it's over with, then all that's going to do is act as weight to slow you up from where you're trying to progress to.
Yeah.
Now, my question to the person that asked that is, if you were to go back, reanalyze that exact same situation, and then say, okay, what did I learn from that situation? Why did it give me shame? What was it about that situation that I knew made me feel that I knew made me feel hopeless or down or about it or whatnot? Now we can kind of switch the narrative to how did God want to teach me a lesson in this? How can I use
That's
this
it.
lesson to help
Yes.
others not go into this place? And how can you own your truth in that moment so that you can be empowered as opposed to feeling like it's draining you? That's the real question. And I can't answer that directly through a chat without actually breaking it down a little bit more.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
understand that as long as you have time on earth, there's always time to correct, there's time to overcome. Also, a jewel I want to drop to that person, since they said they kind of feel hopeless sometimes, is and this I may piss some people off, and I don't care. The reality is Satan's job, or hey Satan's job, was to be the adversary. It was to get under your skin and make you feel away, because that's how you fight for your faith. That's how you earn and show and prove that you have faith. You might have found your way in the doors and gateway of heaven already through your action. But the other side of it is, how can you maximize your time here? And if the adversary is using something from your past that is, especially something like a purchase or a financial decision that you're still paying the debt on, well, how can you re-embody this situation and use it as fuel, and then make it a good thing?
So good. So good. Wow, That was really good. Thank you for that insight, and I hope that this person was able to get it, to get
I
the
hope so too.
information. But they commented and said that's good. So you
Oh,
definitely had
okay.
an impact. They definitely had an impact. So listen, man, we're over time. I want to thank you for being here.
No problem, brother. I
Listen,
appreciate you.
how can the people get a hold of you, get in contact with you, follow you? Where do we need to go?
So on most social media platforms, I am Zac Talley. You can Google me and find out what comes up, and then just go there, I guess. But
Okay.
you can also catch me at Taxman Tally on IG. Also, our team, we have nothing but absolutely amazing people on our squad. So if you reach out through www.unifiedprinciple.com or www.the1863.com, you'll be able to connect with our team pretty easily. Getting directly in contact with me can be hit and miss because I am working on a lot of really, really high level projects, and I close my calendar. I do not make myself available to most people directly. I prefer working with groups. And if I do take a one-on-one, it may be a tighter situation, but if they reach out, we'll see how we can best serve them.
Man, that's what's up. That's what's up. So listen, make sure y'all follow my man at Taxman Tally on IG, and then you can just Google the 1863 and unifiedprinciple.com to get
Yes,
to take advantage, to use the services that they offer, and to
yes,
grow, because they're literally here to help you grow in the place that affects most families, and that's in your finances.
that's it.
From listening to my brother, can help you with your confidence too.
So we have four pillars that we ride off of: family,
Okay,
faith, finance, and freedom.
family,
So
faith, finance, and
and
freedom.
those are our four pillars. So
Nice.
interchangeably, we will work with you on all of those especially from a financial standpoint.
I love that. I absolutely love that because if you when you have these pillars of things that you do, it kind of gives you a framework.
Yeah,
Um, it gives you a framework because it helps you decide, okay, as the project that I'm working on fit within this framework. It can
exactly.
literally help you cut things down because we built this show on on a framework called the seven motivations,
Come
right?
on, man.
Which is money, mental health, manhood, marriage, ministry, mission, and mastery. Those are
Nice.
the areas that we're going to focus on.
I love that. Perfect.
Yeah.
So you get it, man. You
So
get
I
it.
get it. We got a
Yeah,
framework. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And that's why
Yeah,
at the beginning of the show, it started with talking about money
master.
and mastery, because those
Yeah,
were the two things that I feel like, working with you and seeing what you're doing are areas that can help people grow with their money and with their mastery. So, all right.
absolutely.
So, listen, thank you again, my brother.
No
We're
problem.
going to wrap up this show. Listen, I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all put in the chat what city you logged in from. And listen, just because your friends may not have been able to see the show live, repost it on your timeline. And the
Yeah,
reason is because this was some powerful information that needs to be heard by the world. Also, it doesn't cost you anything, right? Reposting on your timeline helps us more than anything, right? And for those of you that really got love for your boy, please show some love by hitting that Cash App at Joe Boss Radio or money sign Joe Boss Radio. You see how I keep everything uniform? It's Joe Boss Radio everywhere. So when you get on your Cash App, please type that in, show some love and support because listen, we need it. We need your help to keep this going. All right. Because we're going to be here every week giving you tools, bringing you interviews. We're going to be working with the movers and shakers in multiple industries to help you grow in one of these seven motivations. All right. So that's where we're going to go. We are going to focus on these seven motivations to move forward. And that's it. That's it. So I see we got Atlanta in the building. What's up, Atlanta? We got Charlotte is in the building.
yeah.
All right, let's go. Listen, they everywhere. They everywhere because we
Love,
worldwide. All right.
love to see it.
Listen, So listen, I will see y'all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel, right here at Joe Boss Radio. All right. We love
Oh,
y'all. I'm gonna give y'all some music to end out the show because that's how we do. And we're gonna keep moving forward like that. All right. We love y'all. Stay tuned. Stay blessed. Called celebration.
It's a celebration. We just won the championship. Congratulations. We worked hard, believed in the dream with dedication. We locked arms, put time in the gym. Cooperation.
Make sure y'all hit
About to spin the
subscribe
block
on that
one more
Facebook
time.
page
It's
and on
celebration.
that YouTube page. You have to stay
This is
updated every week.
celebration. This is celebration. This is celebration. Raise a glass to the air. Let's celebrate the victories. We have conquered despair and laid down the enemies. We've been grinding on our feet. We've been praying on our knees. We got cuts across our hands, but we still lift and feel the breeze. Got my graduation cap, little bit of swag across the top. When I walk across that stage, little bit of swag up in my walk. Put respect across my name, or watch your mouth when you talk. And my prices just went up. Money rising like the stock. I got faith, I got joy, and I got love, and I got peace. I got grind up in my heart. Sacrificed a lot of sleep. Competition came out tough, but I'm still standing on my feet. And my faith in the Most High, the reason I can't be beat. While I'm on this earth, I'm putting in work. I'm about to go berserk in the kitchen. I've been whipping, and y'all about to get dessert. So save the hate. I'm too focused trying to win, counting trophies, cause we gon' win again. It's a celebration.
Let's go.
We just won the championship.
Let's go.
Congratulations.
Y'all appreciate it, man. We making things big for y'all this year.
Dedication. We
Right?
locked arms with time in the gym. Cooperation. About to spin the block one more time in celebration.
You already
This is
like,
celebration.
subscribe, share.
This is celebration. This is celebration. It's fourth quarter, line them up.
All right. We can't give y'all everything. Can't give y'all everything yet. You're gonna have to you're gonna have to buy it off the stream when it gets there. I just wanted to give y'all the preview of what we was doing. You know what I'm saying? Zach, you over here dying laughing, brother.
I love it. I love it, bro. Hey, when I
Yeah.
tell people to get right before they get left, this is what I'm talking about.
This is it. This is it.
The
This
song
is it.
It's fire, bro.
Thank you,
The
man.
song is absolute
Appreciate
fire,
that.
bro.
I appreciate that, bro. All right, family. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.